Hi Theresa.
Hi Amanda.
We are in the middle of the city, but we seem to be surrounded by trees. Where have you took us today?
Well, we're in Camley Street Nature Reserve, Amanda, which is right in the heart of North London by King's Cross, about 5 minutes from King's Cross Station. And I used to volunteer down here about 21 years ago. I was a volunteer at their festivals and things they do. And it's been made completely out of like derelict wasteland from maybe 30 odd years ago to this beautiful paradise that you see before you now. And it's a woodland, it's a beautiful pond area right by the canal. So it's not difficult to find. But so I've been up in Caledonia Road Park this morning in North London, and I collected some different wild edible plants as well. So, should I show you some of the things I brought today?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, okay. So this is a variety of wild garlic. It's known as ramsons because it's just like a blade of grass. The leaves like this, it's just like a blade of grass. They have a ridge down the back. If you can see that, it's like got this angled ridge down one side. So that's how you can distinguish it and discern it. So you know it's not a blade of grass because of that little raised ridge bit at the back. And it's got a very oniony, chive-like flavour to it. So if you like chives and onion flavour type things, this is great to add into salads, whether it's fresh vegetable salads or if you do a potato salad or something like that, you can add into that. And they have these flowers which are really pretty for decorating as well. And again, their seeds in here are quite strong because they contain the blueprint to grow into a new plant. They contain obviously all their enzymes and their energy, so it's quite a strong flavour, stronger than the stem or the leaf itself. So I wouldn't recommend eating a lot of flowers, but one's probably okay. Some wild garlic.
Is that garlic? Oh my gosh.
It's wild garlic, yeah.
Wow.
I picked this from here about 5 minutes before we met.
Does it taste like garlic?
Well, yeah, it tastes quite rich. Do you want to try some?
Yeah, maybe later, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
How long have you been foraging and finding out about wildflowers?
That's a good point. Probably, I think about 8 years now.
Yeah.
I started going with Efat, an Iranian nurse lady who collects a lot of wildflowers herself. And she trained me in what to look for and how many plants are actually edible and okay. The things that we see a lot of the time anyway, they're actually nature's medicine saying, you can eat this kind of thing, it's fine. So they're not just weeds, as it were.
Yeah.
This is cleavers, also known as goosegrass, which has a distinctive fuzzy kind of stem to it. But this is very good for cleansing internally the lymphatic system. So it looks a little bit like a brush, like a chimney sweep brush.
Yeah.
How it would cleanse out that way. And by the doctrine of signatures, which explains how our body parts can mirror foods and plants and vegetables and vice versa. This has been used traditionally in herbal medicine for decades as a tonifier and a tonic for the kidneys and the liver and just generally a good lymphatic system cleanser. These are some of the magazines and the information they have at chemistry.
You mentioned a lot about natural remedies. Is that linked to you being a nutritionist?
Yeah, for my day job in a way, I'm a nutritionist. Part of what I do is have consultations with patients who are looking for natural solutions to any of their dietary related concerns really. Often it's a case that they've seen a doctor or a homeopath or someone else, some other practitioner or therapist for sort of symptoms or something that's concerning them, a condition or something like that. And they'll come to me as a last resort and saying, right, okay, what can I do to change my diet, or what am I eating that's causing a problem, or how can it help? Any skin complaints or digestive concerns, emotional things, like eating disorders. It treats a whole range of things really. It's cancer support, candida and food cravings, intolerances and allergies. All those kind of treatments work really well and respond really well to altering what our daily diet is really. So it makes a big difference what we put inside also. So.
Yeah. You mentioned about affecting your mood. So does food and what you put into your body affect your mood? Yeah,
it can do quite a lot actually. It makes the serotonin and the tryptophan production in the brain either increase or not, depending. So products like organic almonds and Brazil nuts and bananas and oats are well known as improving tryptophan production, 5-HTP production in the brain. So we tend to feel more elevated and more natural lift, like cacao does. And I'm an organic chocolatier as well. I produce my own raw chocolate as raw chocolatier. And it's all about having natural products to enjoy and eat, while accepting that we like chocolate. You know, you don't have to have a processed version, a fat-filled version, a sugary version with animal dairy products and processed sugars and other sweeteners and flavours and God knows what as well. It's saying I like to have chocolate and cacao and having it in a natural kind of way too. So I use organic flavourings like fresh vanilla and organic raw Brazil nuts and apricots and sour cherries, and make alternatives to commercial bars.
Yeah.
Really. So I've been doing that for a few years now as well, and I really enjoy it. It's lovely making my own recipes and designing everything like that.
Natural sugars. Are you into raw food?
Yeah, raw foods and natural sugars are really important, I think, because they make such a big difference to how we feel, really. Rather than having glucose and processed white sugar, which can be quite detrimental to people's health on the whole. It's nice having fresh fruits, dried fruits, root vegetables like beetroot and parsnips and carrots. All those things are actually quite sweet, and incorporating those into our daily diet over a period of time can improve things dramatically. And it's how I stopped having sugar, pretty much. It's actually through transitioning in that way, because it makes such a difference to our energy and our immune system. Do you know what? The white blood cells, the leukocytes, are affected a lot by processed sugar. Sugar actually stops them working for about 5 hours, so it affects the immune system quite considerably. And when I found this out, I was like, I want to help my body as much as possible right now. I'm healing, I need to kind of improve things and get better. And so it made a lot of sense to cut out sugar, and it causes a lot of aggro and upset with people because of their immune systems, their digestive systems. It can cause candida albicans problems, cancers further down the line. It just needs sort of reviewing a bit as to what we're actually eating, and why we're eating those foods, whether it's through comfort eating or anything else.
So, is there anything else you're into?
Yeah, in addition to being a nutritionist around London and South East England area, I also have a company called Kitchen Buddy, just set up 10 years ago. In fact, it's the anniversary just in May.
Wow!
Just gone. So I've been going for 10 years teaching classes, catering consultancy with people and companies and organisations. But largely it began because I wanted to teach people what I knew and what I understood about nutrition and what I understand what good health is all about, and helping others to improve their health overall, whether it's helping them to heal like digestive concerns or they had a skin problem or anything like that, and looking at what foods would make a difference to that. So improving it through making dairy-free drinks, dairy-free and sugar-free smoothies and juices and desserts and cakes, all those kind of things, as well as main courses and breakfasts and lunches and dinners as well. So it incorporates a whole range of different foods to show people that it's easy to make, it can be made inexpensively, and it's quite simple and quick as well. So I think there's a misunderstanding that sometimes you have to spend a lot of time making really healthy food, or it's going to cost a small fortune. Frankly, I wouldn't do it if it did, you know. So yeah, it's really nice, and I get to work with individuals in their homes. Someone might ask me locally to have a series of 3 or 6 classes, and we build up a series of recipes and menus for them like that. And they find that they might lose weight. It's generally one of the main things. Their skin tone improves and becomes softer and just clearer. I think it's important for women particularly as well, looking at us and our beauty and the beauty industry and what we're meant to look like and be perceived as, in a sense. Having an inner natural beauty and an inner energy as well is important. And natural energy too. People sometimes feel quite tired of things, or I've been talking to people who've felt really tired and they want greater energy. And I said, well, you know what? You need to look at having a better breakfast and have some like oats soaked in a dairy-free milk. And you know, you can make your own dairy-free milk if you want. You can buy it from a shop, obviously, if it's easier and simpler to buy a carton of almond milk or buckwheat milk or whatever. But you can also make it yourself too, which is really exciting.
So what led you to become vegan?
Well, I became vegetarian when I was 16 at school, and that just felt like a natural progression. And I'd always, from then on, learned about vegetarian lifestyles and went to groups and that kind of thing. And I was always interested in the vegan side of things, and I went to the different events in London, festivals. So I was hanging out periodically with vegan people, wishing almost I could do that kind of thing, but not knowing quite what to do. But then it kind of happened about 13 years ago that I was diagnosed with Candida, and all along trying to sort out my digestive system a bit. So I had to cut out wheat and bread and toast and pasta and all those kind of things, and also dairy, cheese as well. So I felt so like just lousy in the afternoons. I had like this malaise kind of thing, and I thought, well, I need to really approach that properly. And I used to work for the University of London at Goldsmiths College before I trained as a nutritionist. And I was working in higher education, and I started working at Whole Foods as a food specialist instead.
Wow.
And I was faced with rows and rows of organic vegetables and all this lovely food to eat and for healing me, which is really useful. So I found a couple of people in the store who were also going through basically a sugar-free, yeast-free, alcohol-free lifestyle and diet, really, because it helps our gut bacteria and helps the healing inside. And effectively all the cakes I'd made when I was a kid, and all the pastries I used to make and everything, thinking how great they weren't doing me any good at all. So, I mean, I was baking since I could reach an oven kind of thing, so we were making chocolate cakes and pastries and all that kind of thing. And as nice as it is having home baking, and as I teach people how to do these things, have skills in order to do that, but using sugar-free, dairy-free and wheat-free or gluten-free flours now feels much nicer and much better.
Wow.
And people often find that they're really surprised that they like their birthday cake. Hunting guys who'd be out there having their beers or fags or whatever. They're going, oh, I really like this. I'm like, there's nothing else in it other than really good wholesome foods.
Yeah.
Alternative ingredients.
It's a good way to
really
cook.
Well. Yeah. So I turned vegan about 13 years ago, in 2003. Because I found some other people who were also doing that, and I was really impressed by what they were doing and how they were feeling. And they helped me cut out stuff I shouldn't have. I started eating lots of bean sprouts and fresh fruits and vegetables and some nuts and seeds and that kind of thing. And I learned more about raw foods as well. And the people I met were just really inspiring to me, and I thought that's what's important, is looking after myself and the planet as well, and connecting all that sort of environmental impact side of things as well. And I saw an advert which said, you can't be a meat-eating environmentalist, by I think it was Viva or Peter, or one of the animal charities. And that made a big impact. I thought, you're right, you've got to take a stand on these things. And then there was an advert about the amount of methane that cows emit, like the pollution from gas and slurry, the amount of byproducts that the dairy industry has. I thought, it's terrible. It's huge. It's actually more than the worldwide transport pollution. So people think that cars are emitting pollution all over the world, and it's not as bad as cow pollution, basically. It produces far more like methane, which is far more detrimental to like greenhouse effects and greenhouse gases and those kind of things. So it causes a lot of environmental destruction, and I think that's really fundamental, frankly, because I wouldn't want to overly harm planet Earth, as much as anyone else in a way. And you want to be able to do your bit. And everyone's getting their light bulbs and their recycling. It's like, well, what are you doing on a fundamental level? Do you know that can actually make an impact? Yeah. And I found that was really important to me. So it just drip-fed a little bit through, and I was reading about these cows and these cows farting kind of thing. I thought, you know what? It's not good. It's actually really destroying the environment, this whole process. And in order to stop that, it means I have to stop having cheese and milk and yogurt. And the alternatives are always there. You look for alternatives. And nowadays, anyway, there's a lot of other things there. So I started having some alternative cheeses and cream cheeses. In fact, when I was a student at university, I was gradually knocking back dairy bit by bit. So I used to have stuff when I was a kid. And then I was having Tafuti cream cheese, which is like this soya-based cream cheese stuff, which is lovely with certain spreads and bread and that kind of thing, which I don't know. But I really loved it, and I started out using that, which I think is a good alternative, sort of steadily going that way. Pumpkin seed and walnuts, one of my favourites, and with added carob as well. Carob's a nice alternative to use instead of chocolate. It's nice, it's got a lot of calcium in and it's got chocolatey flavour. and vanilla, and I love it. And I have kids, friends of mine, come over and they love drinking this like chocolate milkshake kind of thing. But it's, it's made with nuts and seeds, so it's really rich in omega fatty acids. It's very cleansing, very filling, and you get none of the side effects of dairy at all. It's great.
Did you notice a change in your health when you went vegan?
I did, yeah, massively. Far more than just becoming vegetarian. I found that I had a whole range of improvements, and so symptoms went away for one thing. I used to have colds on an annual basis, and then I kind of forgot about colds altogether until about a year and a half in. And I thought, God, I haven't had a cold for about a year and a half now. And so they used to be really frequent, and now very frequently I find that my energy is much better as well. My immune system is stronger overall. I think it's particularly because I had a big cleanse. I didn't just become vegan, I started having a lot more raw foods, particularly high water content foods. I did some colonics and some colonic irrigation and cleansed it out internally, and did a little fast as well for 3 days, and so I had a lot of fresh juice and just stopped having solid foods for a while, so that allows the whole system to have a holiday and do spring cleaning inside really. So it's a much bigger effect. So I had a lot of energy. My skin became really soft. It's like baby soft skin. It's fantastic. It's just like a baby. And you think, if we know that you can have soft skin just from having less processed foods, no refined sugar, no refined wheat, plenty of fresh water rich foods like fruit and vegetables, natural salads, natural organic ingredients preferably, without the GM or the sprays or anything else, pesticides or anything. And it can just cleanse itself internally as it is. Sometimes it's like removing the blocks from inside the body that helps things to improve. That's what naturopathy is all about in a way. It's like self-healing and letting that process take place. I think it makes a difference to my eyesight as well. That naturally improves, which could be down to eating lots of carrots, but you start seeing in technicolor, which makes you think that's what the animals are seeing. When I first started having a lot more minerals, when my mineral reserves built up to a really high degree, so a lot of the environment we see now just feels like vibrating, pulsating, whereas in technicolor. And I know that's what the blackbirds are seeing, that's what the butterflies are seeing, it's in a natural way. So I really recommend for anyone who's wanting to improve their eyesight and just get a general feel of things, to increase your mineral content that way and to retain it. Makes a big difference.
I'm gonna do
and
it.
Fresh greens, you've got the green all around us here because it's like the most predominant colour in nature. So the more often we can incorporate that, it's often a very good thing. It's very good for us. So other benefits, energy. I started running races. I hadn't really been into running more than 100 metres. When I was at school, I was like relay and 100 metre kind of person. And then I started having more raw foods and fresh ingredients, less sugar, less wheat, no meat, less dairy and everything, no dairy. And I just found myself like carrying on running, and I just run around the block, and then I'd run a bit further, and then a bit further, and I thought there's a race track in a park near me. So I ran around there for an hour in the morning, in the spring, summertime. So I've got friends of mine like Bernadine Pritchard, who's like a marathon runner practically. She's got medals stacked up like this, and I find it really inspiring. And she does this on banana spinach smoothies, and I like that kind of approach to things. And like Fiona Oakes, who's a vegan runner as well. I find that quite inspiring too. Well, very inspiring. It's good. So I've mainly been running like 10-kilometre races, but in under 53 minutes, which is pretty good for me, someone my size as well. Thoughts-wise as well, on a spiritual level, it's a huge, big spiritual lift. It's like enlightenment, but really in an understanding how we are and what we're about as human beings and how we can do things. So it all comes into it, and I think spiritually particularly, it's really important to have a connection to our divine, as we feel it's important to us. For me, it meant that I became more religious in a way, more faith, more concerned. So I became baptised as a Christian, which is who I am. It feels part of me and it feels all right. And I like my lifestyle like that. It's good. And it's nice to actually know that you can feel what you want to feel, and it's part of things. And I also find that in the scriptures, for me, without going into a whole thing, it talks about looking after our earth, looking after the species. There's a lot of biblical references. The Seventh-day Adventists talk about this a lot because they're vegetarian and vegan themselves, and yet they have that living. So I find a lot of connection in that. And I think, God wants us to look after the planet. This is the way of doing it. Farming livestock and the amount of methane the cows are letting out and the cruelty involved is another level as well. That all comes into it, into my choice to do that. and it's a day-by-day process. Sometimes friends of mine will wonder how to do something, and whether you take on a big, I'm going to become like vegan all of a sudden. It can be a big monumental, right, that's it. When I became vegetarian, that's it straight away. And when I became vegan, it was a very steady process. It took like months and months and months. And then, like realising about dairy and then about the egg industry, and looking at the destruction of baby male chicks, which I had no idea about before. I thought, I don't know these male chicks were being for now. And that really put me off eating eggs completely. I thought, right, no eggs in baking, no eggs in omelette, no nothing, no. And looking at alternatives again for making things like that. So I think it does have a big impact in clarity inside. When our body goes and renews itself all the time, you know, like our cells and our skin renew themselves, we get new livers, new skin, new kidneys and everything. So we have a whole new body after 7 years. And I felt this little clip. After 7 years in, I had this kind of, you get emotional feelings, or however you feel about stuff. I'm quite in tune with, say, like the periods of time, the cycles and the moon cycles, as we are, sort of women particularly, you know, affects us. And it's really interesting to sense that. I thought, oh, my body's new. It's
yeah,
not like
definitely.
when I was a kid. It's all different now. It's mainly, you know, it's all built out of plants now, totally, and strengthening like that. But yeah, the spirituality side is fundamental. So the connection to the natural world and recognising we're on this planet with other species as well, in an ecosystem to support one another and everything on the planet as well. It's not us and them, it's us and us, it's everything else, and they're our friends, you know. And yeah, it's a very important process. So there's a health-related aspect, there's a physical-related aspect, so internally and externally, and emotionally, mentally, clarity as well. So I think it's great all over, really. I'd never imagined it to be such a profound experience, in all honesty. I hadn't expected it to be an experience at all. I thought it was just going to be, you know, eating a different type of shepherd's pie at night or something like that. And now it's like, that's the byproduct, in a sense. And yeah, there's a lot we can learn, continually learning about everything. It's fun.
That's great. Any tips for people that want to go vegan?
Yeah, I do. I guess I'd say, firstly, thinking about all the areas about your life and veganism and how it affects everything. It's not just one thing or another. It's about looking at your health and your well-being and how you feel about yourself. It's about looking at the animals and how they're treated and everything, and the environmental system concerns in that way too. And when we're aware of all those things and more educated about those things, it makes it easier too. So if you're looking for your health, it's one thing being vegan, generally speaking, but also look at your foods that you are eating, and things like sugars, particularly having fresh natural sugars, having more fresh fruits and dried fruits as well, using coconut palm sugar, or some people use jaggery, different types of things, rather than processed sugar. It's the biggest difference it can make to your entire system, to your skin, to your immune system, hair, everything, is to have more naturally based sugars rather than just vegan things made with, you know, vegan margarine or whatever, and just regular white sugar, because it's very addictive. One thing, it can cause problems with the pancreas and the kidneys as well. The whole pancreas releases insulin to counterbalance blood sugar spikes. We find that, you know, it's a bit too up and down in a way in the blood sugar levels. It causes highs and lows. People feel really active and high, and then a little while later, periodically they suffer a slump, a little bit of a low, and they want to have more sweet things again, or coffee or something to boost them back up again. But if we're reducing that altogether and having a steady balance of energy through the day, through having fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh pulses and sprouted things as well, that will help to balance those sort of highs and lows in a way, and the energy levels overall. So that's a very important consideration. I think having good quality water and good drinks is important as well, whether it's fresh juicing, keeping it hydrated is important. I think, yeah, like junk food vegan things, it's all very well and good, but it's not all that good in a sense. Make your own decisions, make your own foods a lot as well. Discover what kind of things you like to make. Use fresh ingredients wherever possible. Yeah, there's quite a few different elements you can do. Having organic ingredients makes a big difference as well. Don't just buy the cheapest simple thing that's out there, but choose organic things where possible, because if it's organic, it means it's been farmed sustainably, for one thing. it's more likely to come from a natural place, like in this country or closer to home to where you live, rather than being produced thousands of miles away and imported in. And it contains less pesticides, no pesticides whatsoever really, because a friend of mine lives up in Lancashire area and was telling me that all their brassicas and the cabbages had been sprayed in that area. That's where they grew cabbages. And a lot of people around the surrounding area were suffering from respiratory disorders. So there's a much higher incidence rate of asthma, for example, in those areas. And people going around with little inhaler pumps and everything to counterbalance that. I thought, this is like mass illness causing on one level just to spray cabbages. And there are ways, you know, of growing organically wherever possible as well. Growing your own foods is a big difference as well. And supporting local farmers, supporting local farmers market, local food assemblies, any of those organisations, and permaculture groups as well. We're having a London Permaculture Festival in London on Sunday the 19th of July this year, and you can find out about that through the website, and there's a lot of tips and information about growing things naturally there as well. And I think that's one of the most important things, just checking out the types of organic foods that are available and just doing the best you can. You know, it doesn't have to be like 99.9% all the time, but wherever possible, to choose those kind of foods which contain less pesticides for our own system, because otherwise it goes into our bodies and it's not ideal. We have far less nutrition in them. They're more nutritious. There's a lot more minerals and vitamin content in the organic ones as well.
Thank you so much for being interviewed. I hope everyone's got lots of tips from this one. It's been amazing. Thank you.